Good evening, good evening, good evening, Professor Cobb and classmates. My name is Julius McCoy, and the research that I have conducted will focus on the ongoing issue of teenage pregnancy in the United States, primarily focusing on whether single-parent households or if parents themselves previously, being teenage parents, play a major role in the fact that a child chooses to engage in sexual activities which may cause them to become pregnant at such a juvenile point in their lives. Ask yourself, is becoming pregnant at a young age an issue because of single parenting, a generational curse, or is it solely caused by the recklessness, lack of knowledge displayed by teens themselves? In my opinion, although those accidents do happen, when it comes to teenage pregnancy, most of the time, teens and single parent homes are often left unattended, which gives them the freedom to explore in sexual activities at an early age. This often and ultimately leads to teenage pregnancy. Family structure is a major issue also when it comes to teens getting pregnant at a young age. According to the U.S. Census Bureau in 2011, 11.7 million single parents in America were living with their children. 9.9 of those single parents were single mothers, and 1.8 were single fathers. Arthur Wolf explains, single parenting is not a new phenomenon. In fact, the number of single parents raising children in the United States has been on a rise for decades, unquote. The fact that so many households consist of single parents mean that the child growing up in this home will lack some of the necessary knowledge and tools needed to be successful in society. The child needs balance. What the child may not be able to get from the mother, they should be able to get from the father. Not having those simple outlets is what leads to them trying to find them elsewhere and leads to teenage pregnancy a lot of the time. In the article entitled, "No Kids Raised by Single Moms Don't Do As Well," Arthur Wilcock exclaims, studies say that about 1/3 of girls whose father abandoned the household before she turned 6 end up pregnant as a teen, opposed to 5% of the girls whose fathers were there the whole time of their childhood. This shows that for a girl growing up without a father, the father has a key role in her life. He is the first man that she should ever love. And when that figure is absent, it causes many women to seek relationship with other men outside of the home and also confide in them. Arthur Stammers explains, the young people aged 14 through 17 who live in a two-parent family are less likely to ever have had sexual intercourse than young people living in other family arrangements. Even after adjusting the statistics for potentially confounding factors such as race, age, and socioeconomic deprivation. This is hardly surprising, as children whose parents talk to them about sexual matters and provide sexuality education at home are more likely than others to postpone sexual activity, unquote. It is as if children growing up with both parents in the household are shown more attention, which may steer them in a different direction than sex at an early age. The engagement of knowledge that the parent shares with the child either prevents them from engaging in the sexual act or it educates them on how to engage in the sexual act safely and responsibly. This leads me to methods and efforts that can be implemented with the goal in mind, or at least slow down pregnancy. So this leads me to the methods and efforts that can be implemented with the goal in mind to prevent or at least slow down teenage pregnancy. In an article, Pregnancy Prevention in Adolescence, Arthur Saunson emphasizes that although in the past 10 years adolescent pregnancy has been at a steady decline, it remains a huge public health problem that causes lasting issues for mothers in the future, unquote. Saunson offers ways in which the epidemic can continue to go on the decline. For example, youth social development programs that target the mental and social skills of a child, which helps avoid engaging in sexual activities. at young ages altogether, because it goes by the method as if you don't engage in sexual activities, and you will not become pregnant, which eliminates the issue as a whole. I'm sorry. Also, they promote absentee-only programs, which teach abstinence as the only way to prevent from becoming pregnant at an early age, and it prevents the sexually transmitted diseases. Next, she recommends comprehensive sex education programs, which promote abstinence also as the safest method of all methods in preventing early pregnancy. Lastly, there is sex contraceptive counseling, which mainly direct you to healthcare professionals, which educate you on the contraceptive and disease prevention also. But when it's all said and done, I feel the last method of prevention will be the most effective, because in reality, children are going to have sex. I mean, there's no way around that. The best solution is to try to prevent the pregnancy, is to educate them in understanding the risk of the act that they're engaging in. Make them aware that safe sex with protection gives you the best chance of ensuring that you will not contract any diseases or you will not encounter an accidental pregnancy. The issues that we as a society encounter as we try to take the necessary steps to ensure that our children are well educated in the subject of safe sex. You have us, and then you have the few that are causing society to move backwards for their own benefit. For example, in an article written by Elizabeth Chuck about the Trump administration in the near future, it was an article written by Elizabeth Chuck, an author, and she was talking about the Trump administration cutting off teenage pregnancy prevention programs in the near future. Chuck talked about a company called Endanger Health, which is a nonprofit organization in Texas that goes around the schools that will not otherwise provide sex education in the curriculum, and they educate the students on the prevention of early pregnancy and the use of contraceptives. This education is desperately needed, especially in Texas, who is fifth in America in teenage pregnancy rates, and they're number one in repeated teenage pregnancies. Endanger Health is one of 81 organizations that have aided in the decline of teenage pregnancies in the United States since 2010, and they were offered grants by the Obama agencies, the Obama Federal Grant Program, which gave this organization and organizations like it $89 million per year for teen pregnancy prevention. And losing this vital funding would make all the strides that we have previously taken in the issue of teenage pregnancy seem like it was all for nothing. Chuck also stated that these organizations are in danger of losing their funding due to the Trump administration cuts that are going to be made. To date, $200 million has already been cut from the programs without the programs even knowing that it was coming. And a contract made to the organizations that was supposed to end in 2020 will now end in 2018. Understand that in America we are at risk at overpopulation, and bringing more unexpected life into this world is not the answer, but education is. And if the funding is cut from the budgets of the pregnancy prevention programs, how will the children in these single-family homes learn how to protect themselves sexually and ultimately protect the child that they are bringing in this world? Lastly, I want to offer some of my own solutions that I feel may be reliable in the fight to further minimize the issue of teenage pregnancy that we have in the United States. First, let's have the sex talk. Let your child know that using you as an outlet to talk to about sex is not a bad thing. Lay all the advantages and the disadvantages on the table when it comes to early sexual activities and how it will affect their future. Be honest with them. Second, explain what contraceptives are. Explain the uses of condoms and birth control, and let them understand that if they do choose to partake in these sexual activities at this young age, do it so safely and not reckless. When I say reckless, I mean without educating yourself on how to use them properly. Next, explain what it means to be abstinent. Let her know that at this age, boys or girls may only want sex. Explain the feelings that come along with engaging in such a simple activity. Reassure that at this point in her life, it is not mandatory that she be sexually active, and there's nothing wrong with waiting until she is ready. Furthermore, teach her to care for a baby. Teach her the things that come along with caring for a baby. Oftentimes, this may discourage a child to not wanting to have sex for fear that she may not be able to take care of her child the way she wants to, or in a proper manner, or that she may not have the freedom that she's comfortable with in the past, because this baby will have to come first. Lastly, make sure the child is comfortable with coming to you about feelings. Do not make it awkward when you're having this talk, because 9 times out of 10, if you do make it awkward, he or she may not come to you again for advice, because them not being comfortable will become an issue, and them being comfortable is ultimately the goal, because you want them, as a parent, you want them to be able to come to you about anything. In conclusion, teen pregnancy in America is at an all-time high because of the simple fact of the ignorance that we have to preventing it. Knowledge is power, and the more our children know, the better off they will be. Teach your children about early engagement in sexual activities and the problems that it could cause. We know all families will not have both parents in the home, but that is not an excuse. It just means that the one parent that is in the home would just have to take a little more time to teach the things that need to be taught.